Appreciate you guys for showing love. What's good? It's your boy, Pat the Designer, back at it again. Appreciate you guys for tuning in and showing love to another edition of the Chicago Bears podcast. Chicago Bears podcast. Y'all know how my brain is working, right? Y'all see where my mind is at here. We own the Bears talk, but this is the Windy City Breeze, man. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page. We do talk Chicago sports daily on this channel. Only channel talk Chicago sports, how Chicago talk. Y'all know what I need y'all to do, man. I need y'all going ahead and
come on. Push the button. Come on. Push the button. Come on, push the button.
Yeah, come on, push the button.
You heard what she said.
Y'all heard what Sue Young said. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the page, man. We do talk Chicago sports daily on this channel. Only channel talk Chicago sports, how Chicago talks. So make sure you stay in tune with us, man. Listen. First things first, thank you to everybody out there who sent well wishes to me and my family. I want to do the emotional part and get all that out the way. If you didn't know, we lost my grandfather, my granddaddy, who, I mean, listen, was one of the instrumental people in me being who I am today. A big reason why I talk the way I talk. So it's definitely why I say Maine so much, for sure. When it was really hard to lose him. Knew this time was coming for a little while, but it's never easy. But I appreciate everybody who showed support and supported the channel without me on it yesterday. That was really dope. And listen, I'm back, baby. That's what we on right now. But we got a lot to get into with this team, man. I mean, topics on the table today. Does this team really believe in the coaching staff? When do we start looking at Kevin Warren for some answers? And was Darnell right over Jalen Carter the right decision? All that more in today's episode, man. Let's jump straight into it. I want to start it off here, right? Because realistically, when we look at this Bears team, you have to ask the question, do they believe in what the coaching staff has put out? Because I think that we are now 3 weeks, I know that we're now 3 weeks into the season. And let me just give you some numbers. Let me give you some stats on just the defensive side of the football. I don't even want to focus offensively here. Let me give you some stats on the defensive side of the football that lets me know kind of where the players are belief-wise here right now. Points per game allowed, 31st in the NFL. This is what a Bears defense ranks through 3 weeks. They've allowed 35.3 points per game, 407.3 yards per game allowed, 29th in the NFL, 285.7 passing yards per game allowed, 29th in the NFL, 121.7 rushing yards per game allowed, 19th in the NFL, 60% third down conversions allowed, 32nd in the NFL. They are 32nd in the NFL as far as sacks go. Hey, which one's your favorite? Take your pick. They've got 11 pressures on the entire season, 29th in the NFL, and they're tied for 21st with 2 takeaways. This defense has been abysmal to this point. And the reason that I bring this up is because I said this on the Chicago Bears post-game show on ESPN 1000. Appreciate you guys for showing love over there as well. When you look at the defense like this, even if the team is bad, whatever side of the ball that the head coach is, usually is more willing to go out there and say, hey, you know what? Forget all of that. We're going out there. We're going to play for our coach because he supports us. We're riding out with Matt Eberflus and what he's putting on the table right now. This tells me right here, these numbers right here tell me that you don't give a rat's you know what about what your coach is talking about when it comes to the hits principle. And so I'm sitting here looking at, do the players believe in this coaching staff? Do the players believe in what's going on out there when they're at the practice facility, when they're practicing at Hallis Hall, when they're going out there on the field? I have to question all of that, because if we're being 100% honest, there's no way that a lot of these stats come down to hustle, come down to intensity. Come down, for sure, takeaways, right? Well, a major part of what the hits principle is the T in takeaways. Guess what? You got 2 on the season. You're in the bottom half of the league in takeaways. That's where this Bears team is right now. I know that you don't believe in what your coaches are putting out there because you're not showing it when you step on the field. There's a ton of question marks around this team already, but realistically, when I look at the coaching staff that this team has right here, and you look at it paired with these numbers, I think it all goes into, what are the leaders believing on this team? And it's not to say that, not to put something else on Justin Fields that maybe he doesn't deserve, right? I don't know whether he does or not. But when you see Justin Fields out on the field, right, does he believe in the hits principle? Because the one thing that I will not take away from Justin, I think you saw this at the end of the game versus Kansas City after you get your butt kicked. There's nobody on that team that seems like they don't follow Justin. They don't believe that Justin is the guy who's going to be the leader of this team. They don't believe that he's the voice in the locker room. You don't get that vibe at all. In fact, you get quite often the opposite of it, right? Because if we're really looking at it, more times than not, you see this team follow Justin's example. And I think that that's one part where I'm like, listen, maybe Justin has to buy into this thing before the rest of the team buys into it, because it doesn't feel like he's bought into it either. We know he hasn't bought in on what Luke Getsy's scheme is because he's already spoken out against it. I feel like I'm playing robotic, right? We already know this. So you have to ask yourself, at what point do you start looking around and say, hey, what are we looking at with this staff? Does this team believe in the staff that is in place? I think that that's an okay question to ask. And it doesn't mean that the Bears can't get it back on track. Doesn't mean that the Bears can't find their way back into a winning situation. Listen, you're 0-3 right now. It looks horrible. Your team looks horrible. Everything that you have in the building right now looks horrible. It just does. But realistically speaking, I'm looking at this team and I'm saying, okay, what are they doing that's consistent? I don't see anything. What are they doing that they believe in? I don't see anything. What are they doing that they go all out for? I don't see anything. And when it gets to that point, because, right, here's the one thing that I can't guarantee you. I can guarantee you this. I'll stake my reputation on 110%. DJ Moore's talented. Tremaine Edmonds is talented. TJ Edwards is talented. Yannick Ngakoue is talented. They are. Say what you want, feel how you want, whatever you want it to be. These guys have talent. They do. And so I'm not going to sit here and try and give Matt Eberflus this grace, and when I can look at the guys that are on the field and say, hey, I know that this guy used to be able to play. Why can't he play anymore? I know that this guy used to be able to go out there and get the job done. Why isn't he doing that here? Are there pieces that are missing that make his life a lot easier? Of course. But the names that I just named, how much have we seen him do at all? How much hustle have we seen from him? How much intensity have we seen from him? How much fight have we seen from him? I think that's the biggest question with this coaching staff right now. You got talent. I heard Kidd yesterday, right, kind of talking about what the job that Ryan Poles has done. And listen, there's some misses in there for sure. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that there aren't misses in there for sure. We'll talk about and debate kind of at the end here what we think about the Jalen Carter and all of that, right? Jalen Carter situation and all that. But realistically, there's some misses here, but there's some hits. I see Tyreek Stevenson already. I know he can play. Jaquan Brisker can play. Kyler Gordon ends up getting hurt, but when he was out there, right, he was a guy that could play. The young defensive linemen, they're taking a little more time than we would like to see. I like what I see out of Javon Dexter. I think that, or not Javon Dexter, out of Zach Pickens. I think that Javon Dexter kind of slowly coming along. I've seen him making a couple of nice plays in the run game as well. So I want to keep seeing more of that. Want to keep seeing these guys move in the right direction as far as that goes. But I mean, like I can sit there and look at pieces that he has brought in and say, heck, I mean, not to take away from the conversation we're going to have later in this, but Darnell Wright can play. He looks like a rookie right tackle. He's working through some ups and downs, but I can see that this young man knows where he needs to be, knows how to get his hands out in front. He can play. Mike Nice, what's good? Tana in the chat, what's good? Rex in the chat. Dominic, appreciate you. Love you too, broski. Torian in the chat was good. Mike Davidson was good. Appreciate you guys for showing love, man. Are there misses under Ryan Poles? 100%. But I can't sit here and tell you that Ryan Poles didn't add talent to this team. So why does this team look worse? MC Season, what's good? To Shy, what's happening? That's when I start to look at, okay, what's happening with the staff? It's not to absolve the players. I don't want people to get that the players on the field got to play. You're on the field. You're the one making the plays. You're the one that has to go after the quarterback. You're the one that has to get the ball down the field, get the ball to DJ Moore. You got to play. I don't absolve the players of what we're seeing on the field. But I do ask if after 2 weeks, when you start to see things come in that are, I think even on the offensive side, right, on the defensive side as well, right? When you look at a lot of the things that we're seeing, you're literally seeing guys that have been in the league a long time, guys who know more than football than I ever will, right? Know more about football than I ever will, right? You literally see guys who have been a part of this game for years, looking at what the Bears are doing system-wise and going, what the heck is that? How the heck what are you drawing here? I've watched Dan Orlovsky for 3 weeks. I'm sorry. Go, what is this? What are you drawing here? What's this guy doing here? Why is he over here? How do you put no NFL offense is doing this? Shout out to Tanner with the super chat. Said, what up, Pat? Tip for your barber. Always crispy fade, ESPN status. Hey, the barber do be getting me right. Shout out to Q Skipper over at Skipper's Clippers, man. He be doing me right, man. Pause. That sounded crazy. Now it's his show. We got the pause. I'm back in full effect. I paused myself on that one. That's a yeah, you know, you got to do that. That was crazy. And so I literally go and I look at this team and I question where the players' mindsets are with it. I also question, do the leaders of this team believe in what's happening? And is that something that people are buying into? Because realistically, if we're talking about the leaders of this team, you're talking about Justin Fields. DJ Moore is a leader by example. You know how it makes it really hard to set an example? If you don't get the football thrown your way. That's when it gets really hard to set an example, when you don't get the football thrown your way. Tremaine Edmonds, has he bought in on the defensive side of things? Eddie Jackson, Jalen Johnson, those are supposed to be your guys that are the leaders on this team. And yet every one of those names that I've said, I don't see displaying these principles that you have put in place. Shout out to Silver Harvest for the super chat. Said, love how Eberflus' reason was we need to focus more. Rather see Peyton of no, we sucked. Next question. No fire from Eberflus or Getsy. Yeah, the focus is crazy to me, bro. Like, and we need to fight more, right? Like, now you're starting to sound like your predecessor. Now we're gonna come into the game, we're gonna have fight. We're gonna, you know what I mean? Like, what are we talking about here? What are you going to fix? What are you going to fix to make this different than we've seen for 3 weeks? I've got a good enough sample size. We're heading into week 4. That's a quarter of this season. That's not good math. What is that, an eighth? 17 games? Nah, it's still kind of a quarter. That's still a quarter. And now you got to go up against a team. Here's the kicker on all of this. Now you're going up against a team that just got their butts whooped in the worst way. I'm talking about historical butt whooping, historical butt kicking. And they're going to come in with Sean Payton and Russell Wilson. And guess what? They still put up over 300 something yards. They still are able to go out there and make plays. That was a game all until the turnover by Russell Wilson. So what are you going to do to fix that? Because if you lose this week to a team that just had a historically bad loss, whew, I don't know if guys are going to end up losing jobs, but I think that there's going to be some furniture moving around Hallis Hall. I'm not going to lie to you. Man. Appreciate you guys for tuning in, showing love. Hit that like button. 88 people up in this mug, man. I don't know how many likes are on the video, but let's get this mug up to 88 likes. Appreciate you guys for showing support to the channel, man. Let me know how you guys feel in the chat as well. I mean, if we're being 100% honest about this whole thing, this week is going to come down to a real situation of, hey, how'd you guys lose to them? You're a 3-point dog at home. When do you get embarrassed? You just got beat by 41 points you just got beat by 31 points to the Kansas City Chiefs, which could have been more if not for the weird call. They keep throwing this weird call on what's the Chiefs lineman that they keep saying is doing a false start, lining up in the wrong spot when realistically, right, like the refs have allowed him to do this the entire season. Now all of a sudden we're going to try and switch things up on him. But it's laughable where the Bears are right now. It's laughable where the Bears are right now. It's laughable where the effort of the Bears is right now. And this is why it doesn't absolve the players from anything. Jawan Taylor, Rex, yeah, with how they were doing Jawan Taylor. But it doesn't absolve the Bears players of anything. But what it does do is make me look at, okay, why are the Bears players this way? Because these are guys' jobs on the line. They realistically are. Let's keep this thing moving along. Appreciate you guys for showing love. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the page. We do talk Chicago sports daily. Something that I do want to ask you guys, though. When do we start asking questions of Kevin Warren? We've talked about the adult in the room a couple of times. When do we start asking, hey, Kevin, what's the answer on this? What's going on with this? What's happening here? When do we start having that conversation? And this is the one thing, right? I think Mike commented in. He said, if we win, nothing changed in Chicago for the good. Understand this small factor, Bears fans. This is not the long term. I can guarantee you that. I don't know what ends up happening the rest of this season. I don't know what ends up happening the rest of the season. But if it continues down the same path, Kevin Warren is not a man that is going to just sit there and let you keep doing what you're doing. The difference in this team, everybody keeps asking, why is this different? Why is this supposed to be? Because the difference in this team is that's not Ted Phillips back there just trying to make the McCaskies money. This is a guy that literally has been a part of winning organizations, that has helped build winning organizations, that has helped put together winning teams. And he's going to look at what you see out on that field every Sunday, and he's going to go, what the heck are y'all doing? This is supposed to be different? Everybody get out. It's gonna be Kevin Warren's gonna show up like and white man can't jump. Oh, this what y'all on, huh? I'm gonna go to the car. I'm gonna get my gun. That's what he's gonna come back with, bro. Because if we're being 110% honest, he's not gonna stand for this very long. I would be surprised if we stand for this the entire season. But the question for me is, when do we start looking at Kevin Warren for some answers on this? Or what we're seeing right now? Because the team that's on the field is absolutely unacceptable. Whether you think it's the coaching, whether you think it's the players, whether you think it's Luke Getsy, whether you think it's the scheme, no matter what, right? No matter what we think, Everybody plays a part in this. I look at the coaching and I say it's bad coaching. I also look at the players and I say you're playing with you're playing heartless games. You're playing gutless games. You're not putting effort into what we're seeing on the field. At a minimum, some of these plays are solved with just pure effort. Right? The Chase Claypool screen is one that always pops to mind when we're talking about effort, because my God, if he just acted like he was 6'4", 240 for once, he's not going to let a small DB get through him. That play probably is successful because Darnell Mooney's not getting run over the second the ball gets to his hands. Right? I don't agree with the system, but I also don't agree that you can't give effort. And I think that that's something that Kevin Warren will not stand for. The lack of effort that we've seen through 3 weeks, if that continues, you'll see so many people out the door. So many people out the door. Because it means that you're not holding them accountable for lacking effort. You're not holding them accountable for going out there and putting a lackluster performance on the field in front of Chicago fans. That I do know he will not stand for. And so there's still hope for me moving forward. I don't know who the players are going to be. I don't know who the coaches are going to be. I don't know who, but I do know this. I do think that Ryan Poles will be a part of this team moving forward. I do think that that Kevin Warren will absolutely be putting people in place to make changes here. And I think this is a situation now that you're in where even if you have success, the standard that you're setting that's in the building could still, like, say the Bears go out and win. Say the Bears go out and win. They still find a way to win 9 games this year, right? Which is entirely possible. Say the Bears find a way to win 9 games this year. Now, I know, magical situation. Bears turn it all around. They start winning. They figure, boom. I still think you could see Luke Getsy out the door. I still think you could see Matt Eberflus out the door. I do. Why? Because 9-8 ain't good enough. And it took everything you had to get to that. I brought you more talent. I brought you more pieces. I brought you more toys to tinker with. And you gave me less production than you gave me last year, which is impressive. I think there's going to be some serious changes no matter what. No matter what. Whether the Bears have another 3-win season or the Bears go on a magical run and find a way to 9. No matter what, we'll get to the end of the year because you're going to look around and you're going to go, oh, okay, they've kind of figured out how to win. Hey, what's Ben Johnson doing? What's Eric Bieniemy got going on this weekend? Well, why is that? Well, because we need somebody that's going to take Justin from here to there. And that's not you. So I think that right, like that's the part for me where I'm starting to look at Kevin Warren to say, okay, what kind of leadership are we going to get in here? What kind of leadership are we going to get from you? How are you going to take us from here to here? Because there's talent on the team. I don't blame the construction of the team. I blame how guys are using this team. I also blame how the players are playing on the field, but you know, that's it goes to culture. It all comes back to culture. I would love for the team to be setting a better culture, but it all comes back to culture. So I don't know what it's going to be at the end of the day with this team, and I hope that this Bears team finds its way into a winning situation. There's a ton of question marks. There's so many question marks. Let's keep this thing moving along, man. Appreciate you guys for showing love. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the page. We do talk Chicago sports daily on this channel. Only channel talk Chicago sports, how Chicago talk. 126 of us in here. Only 31 likes. Hit that like button, man. What we doing? Skylar said the KKK chapter of Bears fans calling for Bajent. The Tyson Bajent conversation is dumb at this point just because he plays like Justin. Even some of the Caleb Williams conversation is like, yeah, you're getting in the same thing. How many times? I thought this was interesting. Courtney Cronin brought this up. We talked about this on the Chicago Bears podcast. This is the cycle of Bears. Shout out to Just Him Feels the Bears _26 on Twitter. Y'all give him a follow. Really put some good stuff out there. But I thought this was hilarious, right? Like Mark Trestman got fired. We're left with Cutler. Hired John Fox. John Fox wanted a new QB. We got Trubisky. John Fox got fired. Hired Matt Nagy. Matt Nagy wanted a new QB. Got Justin Fields. Matt Nagy gets fired. Matt Eberflus hired. You are here. Matt Eberflus wants a new QB. Who do we go get? Matt Eberflus gets fired. It's so funny to me that we're stuck in these cycles like this. Because to me, you don't see a change. You don't see a change as far as like, okay, I took this piece out and I put this piece in. What's different about this guy? Well, he likes offense more than defense. Okay, I took this piece out, put this piece in. What's different about this guy? Well, he can throw the ball safer than the other guy. Okay, I took this piece out, it's the same conversation. You're just putting different looking pieces in there. Like I swear we're stuck in a freaking time skip. It's like Doctor Strange right now. Dormammu, I have a proposition for you. Kills him. Dormammu, I have a proposition for you. Kills him. Dormammu, I have a proposition for you. Kills him. Right? Like when do we get to the point where he's finally just like, hey, yo, I'm sick of it. Like, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? And I think that is Kevin Warren. I think that Kevin Warren is a part of that. But the one thing that I do like, and the one thing that the Tyson Bajent conversation doesn't change is that you have to build the rest of this team out before you sit here and have the conversation on, okay, why does the quarterback suck? Why aren't we getting this production out of this guy versus them getting this production out of this guy? Okay, we got to switch the quarterback mid-season, go to the backup. Now we got the backup. Okay, the backup's in. The backup sucks too. Like it's the same conversation over and over, from Mitch to Foles, from Foles to Dalton, from Dalton back to Mitch, from Mitch getting out of there back to Dalton. Dalton ends up going into Fields. Fields ends up going, like, it's the same conversation over and over and over. And the common denominator that comes out of this, and is one of the reasons why I'm not upset by this debate, but I feel that the Bears are actually on the right side of it. Did it make sense to go Darnell Wright over Jalen Carter? Was that the right decision? Whether you believe in Justin Fields or not, here's one thing that you have to understand. The reason that those other teams work so well is because they're insulated. How do you insulate them? You fix the part that keeps breaking every single time. Ryan Poles has come in and said, we're going to fix the offensive line. What does that change? The mindset that we're a defense-only team. Now, I have some question marks on whether we'll ever be able to develop a quarterback. I don't know if we will. I realistically don't. But I'm not going to kill Ryan Poles for going out and saying, you know what? I've got a quarterback in here who absolutely needs protection. I'm going to go out and sign Nate Davis, even though that's turned into an absolute debacle. I don't know what the heck's going on with that. And, he had the family stuff for sure, but now he can't get back on the field. Hopefully we'll be able to see him versus Denver out there, but he was dealing with that and other things, right? Yeah, I've got a rookie right tackle who Seems like, listen, I think the interesting thing about the Darnell Wright over Jalen Carter thing is that people are acting like Darnell Wright is playing poorly. He's playing okay. He's playing okay. Right? And so he's playing like a rookie right tackle. You've got Braxton Jones on the left side, even though he's dealing with injury. Tevin Jenkins, I think, is out of there. Cody Whitehair will be out of there. Lucas Patrick will be out of there. All of those guys are gone. But what you're going in through the next couple of years is saying, hey, I'm looking to fix the offensive line. I'm not looking to fix the defensive line right now. Why? Because even if Justin Fields sucks, I need to see whoever that quarterback is that comes in after him be protected. I need to see whoever the quarterback that's standing back there be protected. And the pieces that suck on this line are the veterans, right? Are the dudes that have been here the longest, right? And so for me, when I sit here and I look at Jalen Carter out there dominating, I love it. I think that he's in a situation where he's absolutely insulated. And so you can go out there and play freely. I love it for him. I love that he's in the situation that he's in. That situation was not here. And so, do I have my right tackle for the next 10 years? I hope so. I'll tell you what, he better be, because you missed on a guy in Jalen Carter that is absolutely looking like a stud through the first 3 weeks of the season. But I like what we have at right tackle. Let's fix left tackle. I don't think that Braxton's the answer there. I don't. I think that he's okay. I don't think he's the answer. And you got to fix the middle of your offensive line. But I see a GM that says no matter who's standing in there, you want to know the reason why these quarterbacks keeps being terrible, why these quarterbacks keep dying, because at the end of the day, we keep going, hey, they're running for their lives back there. What do we say about Mitch? Running for his life. What do we say about Jay? Running for his life. What do we say about Foles? Running for his life. What do we say about, like, how many quarterbacks do we have to go to when we finally look at it and go, oh my God, maybe we should protect these quarterback guys? And so for me, I sit here and I look at this team on the flip side of it, and I say, is Darnell Wright being or is Jalen Carter being an absolute monster right now? For sure. Is Darnell Wright going out there and still giving 3 to 4, 5 seconds of protection for Justin Fields? Kinda. He's doing that on a pretty consistent basis. You want to know why? Because we don't talk about Darnell Wright. Every now and then we talk about him getting beat by one of the best in the league. I think the last, right, like he got beat. And I don't even know if I could put this on him realistically. The play call made absolutely no sense, but it is a sack that goes against him. He gets beat in week 2 by Shaq Barrett. And you had the tight end over there, blah, blah, blah. It is what it is. But gives up the sack there. Gave up a sack, I want to say, in week 1 to Kenny Clark. But for the most part, we haven't talked about this young man. And usually when you're not talking about your offensive lineman, that's a good thing. We talked about a ton. Nate Davis, Lucas Patrick, Cody Whitehair, all the guys who have been injured. Heck, Ja'Tyre Carter got in the game. Ja'Tyre Carter got in the game. And I didn't talk about him as much as I talked about the other guys. So I'm okay with the commitment going offensive, because guess what? We're going to do next season. If Justin sucks and we have 2 top 10 picks, we're probably going to draft another quarterback. Guess what happens if we draft another quarterback? He's going to need to be protected. You want to know what the Bears have historically been able to go out and find at a certain point? Defensive linemen. I'm not worried about going out and getting defensive linemen. I'm just not. V-Dog said, APAC question, how since he spent a ton of bread in free agency on the line and is still trash, How would you attack addressing the line, offensive line again? Because clearly they don't work. I think here's the thing that you have to understand. It's not as easy as just, oh, this guy was great in college, and so he's going to be great in the pros. If that was the case, we'd have offensive linemen out the wazoo in this league. The entire NFL, the entire NFL looks like they have a bad offensive line. There's one offensive line that looks good in this league. It's the San Francisco 49ers. Two. I give you two. Philly. Philly's offensive line looks pretty good as well. Outside of that, question marks everywhere. I don't care what you saw from the Dolphins line in that game, right? Like, yes, it looked dominant versus that Denver team. I don't think that Denver team's really good. I thought that they would be better. But outside of that, like, you're not talking about elite offensive line play from these guys through the first 3 weeks. There's two teams that have good offensive linemen right now. It's going to take time to go out there and find it, but you're not going to have answers on this team at the quarterback position. You're not going to have real answers on this team at the quarterback position, at the running back position, at whatever you want to see until you figure out who the heck is going to be blocking these guys. And that's what the rest of the league is trying to do all at once. That's what the rest of this league has figured out. Mike Nice says, Pat, that's why I said we don't need to address the offensive line in the draft. We need to get them from free agency. We're wasting picks. Clearly, the free agent offensive linemen haven't been great. You just, I take Cincy into account. Most of the guys who are great are still in the same spot. Most of the guys who have been great, you didn't go spend major money on. You drafted them. You went out and found them, right? Like, realistically, those are the guys you have to develop, and you have to become a team that is good at developing those guys. And I think that the tough part about where the Bears are in this rebuild right now is that we thought that the trenches, at least on the offensive side, would be better coming into this season, but you've dealt with so much injury. You've dealt with so much injury on this offensive line that you can't go out there and say that this feels good. This is going to work. I mean, you look at your best lineman. Who's on a where'd Orlando Brown end up? Didn't he end up in Cincy? Am I tweaking on that? Ain't he in Cincinnati now? Getting blown past by everybody and their mama. Yeah, Steve-O saying he's in Cincy. Yeah, like you can't. You have to go out and find these guys and develop these guys. You just do. And I like that the Bears chose that direction. You want to know what I can see on a consistent basis with the Bears track record when they finally say, okay, you know what? Now I have to go out there and get a defensive lineman. Which part of the track record would you like me to point to that says the Bears can go out and find defensive linemen? which decade of Bears football would you like me to go out there and point to you to tell you that the Chicago Bears can find defensive linemen? You know what I mean? Like, so when I see the Jalen Carter is dominating right now. Dominating right now. But I know I can go find another guy like that. I've seen the Bears do it. I know we can identify defense. Heck, George probably can identify good defensive pieces on this team. I'm not worried about Jalen Carter for the future. I'm worried about what this team's future is offensively. And what this team's future is offensively has to start in those trenches. Has to. There's no other options. Let's keep this thing moving, man. Appreciate you guys for showing love. Actually, I'm tweaking. Keep this thing moving. Those are the topics that I have for today's episode. Those are the ones that I really wanted to break down with you guys. Appreciate you guys for showing love. I got to run, of course, with everything going on, right? Timing is a little bit different, but I still wanted to get our daily episode in. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page if you haven't hit that like button yet. How many likes we got on this video, man? And drop some bird dons in the chat for your boy, man. Again, I appreciate everybody who came out, who has shown love. I do want to know you guys' opinion on the Jalen Carter situation. We got 169 people in here, 45 likes. That's crazy. I bet you Don Bird dropped a like on the video, bro. Come on now. Come on, y'all. Y'all gonna let Don outdo you? Don dominating y'all. But I appreciate you guys for showing love, man. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page. And I appreciate all you guys' support with everything going on, with everything happening with the fam. I mean, losing my grandfather, like I said, was extremely hard. He was our patriarch. He was a major part of my everyday life growing up. But we get stronger, we move on. We go out there and dominate, and we do everything in his honor, man. So y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. One love, bird don. Yeah, that's it. Peace.